What's going on, guys? It is Saturday, December 30th, the day before New Year's Eve, and I figured since I'm sitting here with nothing to do, why not bang out our video for Tuesday's focus list. So, mind you guys, Monday is the 1st, it is New Year's Day. The market will be closed, but we'll be back on Tuesday the 2nd. So, this is the focus list for the 2nd, and, what am I looking for and what can we expect to start off the year here? So, got my sheet right here with all my individual sector ETFs, and for those of you who are kind of new to following me along, this is just my preference of viewing the market. So for my focus list, what am I looking for on Tuesday? Now, of course, I'm not sure how the market's going to open. It could be a quiet week. We could rip right into the new year. We could fall into the new year. That's to be determined. I can't predict that, but what we do have is the current price action that has been given to us. So the first thing I'm going to be looking for, guys, on my focus list for next week is this nice little consolidation here in financials. Now, financials were one of the better sectors of kind of the second half of the year here. One of my better weeks of the year, 14,000 in profits, was from this this financial move right here. So right now, you can see this is a 195-minute chart. For those of you new to following us, I like to use the 195 because it kind of gives me like a sneak peek into where the money is flowing. And the reason I pick a 195-minute chart is because each day represents half of a day's price action. So those two bars right there were Friday. With that being out of the way, we got financials here in a nice consolidation, and more importantly, on as of late. What happened there? Let me see. Okay, so nice consolidation, but more importantly, guys, a consolidation on super low volume. So what does that mean? Well, heading into 2018, money is either going to continue to come into financials, and if that's the case, then we'll see buying volume like this and a move out of this consolidation, or money will leave financials and it will trade to the downside. And in that case, we'll be looking for selling volume. So, a very strong sector, in the second half of 2017 has been very quiet as of late. Essentially hasn't moved at all for the entire month of December. So we opened the month of December right around $28, and we find ourselves going into the new year in the same range. So that is first on my focus list, is the financial sector. Will buying volume come in, or will selling volume come in? That will be to determined. Now, of course, if financial sector makes a move, so will the biggest names in there. And regardless of which direction that is, as the sector goes the stocks. So, for a secondary trade along with a potential financial move, I'll be looking at Goldman. Nice consolidation here in Morgan Stanley. And, of course, you got the big boy in Bank of America, BAC, which has, been kind of leaking higher here. But that's first on my focus list, guys. Will money flow, not forward, will money flow in or out of financials? Will there be demand, like we saw here, or will it be oversupply? To be determined, but that's the first thing I'm looking for. The second thing I'm going to be monitoring is the utility sector. Super, super, super oversold here, guys. This sector has just gotten creamed, and now, we have potentially maybe found a bottom here, but again, I kind of got chopped up looking for opportunities in here, and in hindsight, absolutely no volume. Really was no reason to be trying to get a position here anyways. So what am I going to look for, heading into the new year in utilities? Buying volume. If, after this huge sell-off, if the institutions say, hey, these utility stocks, they've taken quite a hit. They're pretty cheap now. You could see some volume come in, guys, and push us to the upside. So, it's a classic setup. Super oversold. We found a bottom. Now it's time to wait and see if demand comes in. So, definitely watching utilities. And then to the short side, guys, I am watching XLY, which is the consumer discretionary sector. One of the best performing sectors, of the last few months, last quarter. And as you can see, guys, basically straight line here. Huge move. And now, here's what's interesting. For those of you who follow John Carter, the legendary options trader, you may have heard him mention this in one of his videos, and it was awesome for me to hear it because, I've already had this thought in my head. My buddy Bryant from the Focus Trades team, we've been discussing this a little bit through text. Super overbought, at some point, this big money on Wall Street is going to start to take some profits out of the consumer discretionary sector. And, and John Carter said the same thing, so that was kind of reassuring, for me to hear. The guy I look up to in terms of an options trader is doing the same thing. But what he said, it's very interesting. What you'll often find, in the beginning of the year is that, the big hedge funds, the big firms, mutual funds, they'll kind of sit down and begin to rebalance their portfolios. What that means is that, they'll take profits from some things and kind of reallocate that capital. So, it's kind of like a, like a flushing of the deck, move things around a bit. After this crazy move in the consumer discretionary sector, it's more than likely that they book some of these great profits and then head, take that capital elsewhere into other sectors. So what does that mean for XLY? Because it really hasn't happened yet, we really haven't seen any kind of selling. My guess, and what I'll be looking for over the first month or so of the year, is profit taking in this sector as they take those profits, free up that capital, and allocate it elsewhere. So what will happen is that this will start to drop as it gets sold. So that's the third thing I'm looking for. Can we get, an opportunity to go short now that we are just super, super overbought here in consumer discretionary? So that's the opportunity I'm seeing to the short side is XLY, consumer discretionary. Again, just basic shit, guys. Super, super, super. Look at that. It's insane. Overbought. Profit taking will be had at some point. Will this collapse? That's not what I'm saying. But we can make money by following the money. So you bet your ass I'm going to be watching this sector to see when the money starts to head for the doors. Now, another thing I'll be looking for is a move here in XLV. Kind of been a sloppy mover over the past few months, but, as you can see here, it's been very quiet, a few days down on some decent volume. I don't have any, immediate thoughts on what's going to happen in this sector. I don't really carry opinions on sectors, but I will be watching this for, a return of the buying volume that kind of stopped, towards the end of the year. I know a lot of, the tax reform stuff has an effect on healthcare and bio stocks. I don't know the extent, whether it's positive or negative, but kind of sloppy in here, guys. And I'm just going to look for a return, of these buyers. And possibly we'll get, a little return, a little turn in the corner here. That's kind of, less actionable setup at the moment, in my opinion, versus something like, this beautiful consolidation in financials, the super overbought XLY, and, the super oversold XLU. And the fourth sector I'm going to be watching, everybody's absolute favorite, is the tech sector. Now, this was the story of the year, guys. 2017 was the year of tech. And let's see if we can kind of just blow out this daily chart and get a good view of the whole year. So let me find... Okay, so... That's the wrong line. Where are we? There you go. So this is basically the entire year for tech. And as you can see, hell of a move all year. Now, regardless of it being, pretty overbought in the long-term picture, it doesn't mean this tech move won't continue. So using the 195, what I have noticed lately, which, is interesting, is that... That's the wrong one. Where are you here? Here we go. So what do we got lately? Putting aside the fact that it was super strong in all of 2017, it's a new year. We got to focus on the now. After a little drop here, as expected, it was pretty dead for the remainder of the year. So basically the last week of the year, it didn't really go anywhere. And in all reality, guys, the month of December started right over here, so didn't really go anywhere the last month either. And like financials, money is either going to return to tech, in big tech names, or it's going to leave tech and, and be allocated elsewhere. So again, what do? I'm just going to monitor this, heading into the new week and see, what the volume tells us. If we see something like this, guys, volume start to come in, I'm going to go long. If we, see some big selling, I'll go short. And again, I keep saying the words follow the money, because at the end of the day, it really is that simple. So picture yourself as magnets, guys, and we just simply want to follow where the big boys on Wall Street are heading. So those are my actionable setups for you guys. Going to be entertaining to see what happens in tech next week. In terms of favorite names in that sector, Apple's kind of been messy, but I like that. It seems like 170 might be, the line in the sand here. We'll see. Earnings coming up on that. Facebook's always a popular tech name, and of course, Google. But, my true focus and the telltale for me will be, do we get any volume in the sector as a whole? Because if the sector moves, so will the stocks in there. So we've got the setup here in tech. We've got this beautiful little consolidation on quiet volume here in financials. So we're going to go to the upside or the downside. We shall see. We've got utilities, which have been just gotten the snots pounded out of them for a while here. Are we going to, kind of move towards higher ground? Volume will tell all. And then, of course, you got the healthcare setup. That's cool. But, the real meaty opportunity, in my opinion, is this just super extended sector in consumer discretionary. So that is the focus list for Tuesday, guys. It could take a few days, a week, or a few weeks to kind of get our footing and, and kind of get a feel for, what's going on in this world that we call the market. But again, guys, I'm going to continue to urge all of you, set up some charts like this. I've emailed each of you, my list of the top sectors. If you don't have that list, shoot me a message on Instagram. Shoot me an email. I'll happily send you that list. And monitor these ETFs, guys, because, again, energy sector, this move right here, which if you're staring at these charts every day, is super obvious. Like our financial setup right now, it's a consolidation on low volume. Well, look what the hell happened when the volume returned, and this was a potential to make huge profit. This trade right here, the options, the at-the-money options from the start of the move returned about 400 to 500%. So those are the kinds of things to focus on, and those are the opportunities that options can provide to us, guys. So that is the focus list for Tuesday, January 2nd, and I am excited for this new year. Everyone have a good weekend. Be safe. Party hard, but don't drive. Get home, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Don't be too hungover.